Check out the latest quick hitter from the Pure Hoops podcast as BJ Armstrong and Eric Newman dive into the Milwaukee Bucks and what Giannis needs to do to become a more dominant force in this series. We hope you enjoy the conversation. We're living in this pick and roll only world, and it drives me crazy.
Yes.
Okay? Can Chris Middleton shoot the basketball? Yes. Can Drew Holiday shoot the basketball well enough? Yes. Do Brook Lopez, Giannis, and Bobby Portis provide a size and physicality advantage over the Nets front line? Yes.
Okay.
So why aren't the Milwaukee Bucks playing to those strengths with post-ups, with playing some high-low basketball, with spreading out the guys that are shot makers from the perimeter? And Giannis needs to live in the paint. Like, I can't fathom the justification of, well, this is what we do. We shoot the three because that's what the analytics tell us. Look at the matchup at hand. I can't watch this team shoot the three without the ball getting into the paint somehow. And I don't understand how at this point, after winning 2 MVPs, this guy can't catch the ball with his back to the basket and have a go-to move over either shoulder and be a threat. And if the double team comes, which you think it would eventually, if he's that good and that strong down there, the double team comes, then you're playing 4-on-3 passing out of the double team. I just want to dumb down like the basketball basics. Brook Lopez should be able to enter the ball into the post from the top of the key if Giannis flashes middle, seals his man. If Brook Lopez's man backs off, then sure, Brook Lopez is capable of shooting the ball. But if the priority is not getting the ball into the paint first and making the defense collapse, then maybe I'm watching a different game. Back to you.
Okay.
That's my point. I appreciate you allowing me to reset my point.
Yeah. Well, okay, I get it. We're gonna just look at the offensive end of the ball, okay? If you're
for the moment, it's both ends, but I think offensively,
listen,
they're clueless.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with, again, excuse me, because I look at the game and I get real technical with it, because if I just played offensive basketball 3-on-3, right? I understand what you're saying. Okay, but when I look at the game, I look at the totality of the game. The game is a blended game, right? Meaning you got to take defense and offense.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't have the ability to stop the other team, you are going to shoot a lower percentage on the offensive end.
Sure.
Okay. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule. Shaquille O'Neal, for instance, is an exception. Shaq can get the ball. He can just get to the post, flash in there, and get it. Wilt Chamberlain could do that. There aren't a lot of players, though, who could just do that. Like Eric says, Giannis, go to the box and just...
But who on Brooklyn can physically stop him from going to the box and getting position?
Okay, so I'll say it again. Sometimes there are body types. He can't physically just overwhelm Blake Griffin on the ground. Okay, and I'll get.
Blake is strong as shit. Agree.
Okay, he couldn't just physically overwhelm Bam Adebayo. He just couldn't physically overwhelm Serge Ibaka. There are certain body types that every player has to figure out how they're going to work. Now, maybe the other 26 or so teams, he could just overwhelm them physically because that's what he does. But there's a body type that he can't just physically overwhelm because he's not the biggest guy. He's still set. Those guys have leverage on him in the post. Eric, I'm going to say that again. Those type of players have leverage. Blake Griffin is lower to the ground than him. low man always wins. You know that, Eric. You play defense. Low man always wins. And when you down there battling on the post, he ain't going to just post up Blake Griffin. Let me tell you that right now. And he ain't going to just post up Bam out. He ain't just going to come down there
I didn't say it was going to be easy.
But
if the ball doesn't get into the paint.
Okay. Now, there was a guy,
there
was a coach I played against many years ago. His name was Don Nelson. And Nelly loved gimmicks. He loves to tinker with the game. Nelly would put his worst defensive player on your best offensive player. Why? Because you're like, oh, we got a mismatch. Now the game is all messed up. So now you're like, oh, why is this guy guarding Michael Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
Michael was like, now he's upset. His pride is into the game, and he goes right to the box because everybody's like, oh, look at this guy. Why is he guarding Michael Jordan?
Yep.
Okay. It's a trap. You ever watch Star Wars movies?
These are not
it's
the
a
drills
trap.
you're looking for.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah, takes you out of what you're doing. Okay.
The reason that they are guarding Kevin Durant on Brook Lopez, and the reason they're playing Giannis like that is because they want to dictate to you what you do. Giannis, shoot the three.
And they're falling for it. Durant on Brook Lopez is a great matchup for Brooklyn.
Okay.
It's a great matchup.
I'm going to give you the recipe for success. Discipline. When Milwaukee has the discipline to turn down a good shot for a great shot, they'll win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I can assure you that that's what them coaches are saying. But them players got to believe it because it's real easy to play hero basketball and get caught up in the game.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing to do to go home early.
Brooke,
you want to go home early, play hero basketball in the playoffs.
No. It's human nature. This is the problem with coaching. You can, Eric, you and we can write up on the board this beautiful game plan. Eric can sit there and be mad. What those players doing? I told them how to win the game. The fans in the building like, man, can this guy Eric coach?
Call timeout and reinforce it. Okay. Guys in the game don't do it. Use your fucking bench. Sorry.
Okay. Use your bench. Okay.
I'm watching
the game. There's a reason that the guys are on the bench. Those guys aren't as good as the guys are playing.
I'm watching the game, and I'm watching the same thing happen possession after possession after possession, and I'm watching Durant get hotter and hotter and hotter. So you're in the heat of battle. Stop the bleeding.
Eric, dude, if it was that easy,
it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy.
I'm sure they would have done it.
I'm not saying it's easy.
What I'm saying is Kevin Durant is a
all-time great player.
He's one of the all-time greats. The guy makes incredible shots. Okay, you live with it. Like, what's wrong with a little adversity? Like, people are like, well, I got all the answers. No, if you had all the answers, listen, this guy.
What I am saying is, and I know they're tied together, and I know if you're not getting stops, it makes your offense that much harder, but you hit upon it. They're taking the first quote-unquote good shot before being disciplined enough to work for a great shot.
Okay, Eric, do you realize that they were up 14, 16 points?
I do.
Okay.
And they stopped doing what got them up.
It's only natural to get comfortable. It's only natural. They come out the beginning of the game.
That's what non-championship teams do. So we're having the same conversation about the Bucks now for the third year in a row.
This is why it's so difficult to win. But more importantly,
I use your line 6 times a day. By the way, credit to you.
But it's also important to say, okay, this team here. This is why we play a series. I still think Milwaukee wins the series, if you ask me. I still think they win.
I would love to see it happen. I just have no belief. I have no belief that they can.
And that's okay. And listen, if you're telling me it's going to take another performance like that from Kevin Durant to win, like That's one of the all-time greats.
Right. At this point, though, what do you believe more in? The greatness of an all-time great player or the ability of a team that hasn't shown they have the discipline to do what we're talking about?
I'm going to take the latter.
Okay.
I'm going to take the latter because you know what? If Kevin Durant makes threes and shots like he was making, so be it. That's what made Jordan great. The guy made shots and you go,
yeah, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Like, if I'm going to lose a game, I want to lose it like that, like Kevin Durant. Now, if you're losing a game and Bruce Brown scoring 20 and these other guys, now I got Landry Shamet got 25. Now I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Now
he gave them a nice lift, by the way. But I did.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no,
it's like when I played. I was a role player, so know your role. Know your role.
Star in your role.
So I didn't come into a game with the idea, I got to get 25 tonight.
No. You came into a game focused and ready. And when the ball found you, you knew we're ready to go.
You did your job. Now, but it takes time for these guys to get to this point. I like the fact that Milwaukee still, in spite of everything you said, they still had a chance to win the game.
Yeah.
Eric, do you realize, and listen, I'm not saying I'm rooting for Milwaukee. I'm just telling you what I see. You realize they lost by like 45, 50 points in, is that game 2?
Yeah.
Okay. You know how hard it is to lose by 40 points in an NBA playoff game? It's not like you don't come into that game not knowing or paying attention to detail.
Yeah, it's not an easy feat to get your ass kicked that badly.
That bad. With a player like a Giannis on your team. That's pretty hard to do. The fact that they picked themselves up, went back home, and somehow got 2 wins after that, that says something about them. Something's in them. Now, I don't know what's in them. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Game 5, they came out, and they was like, oh. Brooklyn was like, we're in a dogfight. This is a dogfight now.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Now, superhuman effort by Kevin Durant. That's what beat me. If I'm Milwaukee right now, you know what I'm saying to myself? I feel real good about this. As crazy as that sounds. You know why? Because the longer this series goes on, the more you're going to have to depend on your depth.
Yep.
See, Kevin Durant is capable. He's shown that. But man, that's hard. That's hard. Yep. By my calculations tonight, Milwaukee should probably win this game by 40 tonight.
Well, game 6, Thursday night. By the time this is being listened to, it'll be Friday, Saturday.
They should win, and they should probably win big. Why? Because that's a tough turnaround for Brooklyn. That's a tough turnaround, man.
No.
Okay.
The emotions are real. It's human nature. You're going on the road. The Bucks are playing for their lives. And all the factors.
And if they do
that point to Milwaukee.
And if they do win tonight, Brooklyn, James Harden is going to be the reason why. Yeah. James Harden's going to, but I don't expect James Harden because Eric, you've had hamstrings. You don't play with those hamstrings. James Harden
barely getting up and down the stairs.
James Harden played his role beautifully. I'm going to give Kevin Durant another ball handler so he doesn't have to dribble the ball up every single time. I could just pass him the ball.
Yep.
Now, if James Harden could give 20 and somebody else, a combination can do 20, Joe Harris and Jeff Green,
Harris, Green, Griffin,
or somebody can do something.
Yeah.
Now you're asking Kevin Durant to do what Kevin Durant 30. Give me 30, but you're asking him to give you 50. Now
listen, KD is great enough where he could come out and score 27 points and have 15 assists and play the role that Harden was playing when he first got to the team and be the facilitator. Because if you're Milwaukee, as you said before, if you're Milwaukee, Are you going to let this guy go one-on-one or let him get the switch he wants, or are you going to double him, get the ball out of his hands, and make an injured James Harden playing on a bad hamstring? And no disrespect to the Nets role players, but none of them are quote-unquote playmakers. You're going to let Durant play one-on-one, or you're going to double him and make those guys make plays and beat you?
Well, I mean, the coaches, we're going to find out here.
Yeah, less than an hour.
We're going to find out. But I will say this. I'm really excited to see this game. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to win this game, I'm looking at James Harden. Because you need something other than Kevin Durant to carry that offense.
Of course.
I don't expect that.
I don't know if Harden's there yet.
I don't know. And we're going to find out.
We hope you enjoyed that quick hitter presented by Pure Hoops Media. Check out the Pure Hoops podcast with BJ Armstrong and Eric Newman, dropping each and every Friday. Stay pure.